They say all men desire power, but they are wrong. Beneath every ambition, behind every throne, lies something far more primitive, the yearning to love and to be loved. It is this desire that has built kingdoms and destroyed them. It has made wise men fools and turned tyrants into slaves of their own hearts. And yet, you watching this are no different. You too hunger for affection, for approval, for that sacred illusion that someone truly sees you. But what if I told you that this desire, more than any weapon, is what keeps you powerless? In a world where everyone seeks love, from rulers to beggars, few understand how it rules them. Today we will strip away the poetry of affection and reveal the cold truth, how love controls men, weakens nations, and deceives even the strongest among us. You will learn what I, Niccolo Machiavelli, learned from watching princes fall, that the desire to be loved is not a gift, but a chain. They say love is the highest virtue, the purest light in a corrupt world. They write poems about it, build monuments to it, and die for it. Yet, when I watched the courts of Florence, I saw that love was not light. It was shadow. It whispered behind every alliance, hid beneath every smile, and corrupted more souls than greed ever did. Men call it holy, but I call it the most dangerous illusion that ever ruled mankind. You see, to love and to be loved is not simply a desire. It is a hunger that feeds on the fantasy of being understood, accepted, chosen. But this hunger blinds even the strongest minds. It makes kings kneel before courtiers, generals hesitate on the battlefield, and thinkers beg and reason for tenderness. Love is the illusion that promises unity, yet secretly thrives on possession. It tells you that to love is noble, but in truth, it binds you to another's will. When a man falls in love, he calls it devotion. When he loses himself in another's gaze, he calls it passion. But in that very surrender, he forgets who he is. And when he no longer belongs to himself, he becomes a servant to what he loves. It does not matter whether it is a woman, a friend, a people, or a dream. The outcome is the same. Love makes slaves of those who believe they are free. In my time I saw princes who believed their people loved them. They mistook obedience for affection, loyalty for devotion. But love born from comfort dies at the first sign of discomfort. The same citizens who sing your praises today will curse your name tomorrow, if their bread is taken from them. And yet the prince who depends on love will always be surprised when love abandons him. He will ask, how could they betray me? But he does not see that love is loyal only while it is convenient. Men love when it costs them nothing. The moment love demands a sacrifice, they call it a burden. The moment it becomes dangerous, they call it madness. And so the illusion continues, every generation telling the next that love is eternal, even as their own hearts prove it false. What they truly desire is not love itself, but the feeling of being wanted. They do not seek truth, they seek warmth. And when the warmth fades, they move on to the next fire that promises to keep them alive. Understand this, people love as long as it serves them. They love virtue when it brings them reward, beauty when it flatters their vanity, and power when it promises protection. Strip away these benefits, and their affection turns to dust. This is why love is the greatest illusion of all. It convinces both the giver and the receiver that it is selfless, when in reality it is the purest form of self-interest. Those who understand this illusion do not hate love, they master it. They do not fall into it, they use it. They know that to be loved is not to be safe, but to be vulnerable. To be admired is to be watched. To be needed is to be controlled. The moment you crave another's affection, you hand them the keys to your peace. They can wound you with silence, enslave you with approval, and destroy you with rejection. So, what is love, truly? It is the softest chain that binds the proudest hearts. It disguises itself as connection, but its essence is dependency. You may think you are giving your heart freely, but in truth you are offering your power. You may believe that love completes you, but in reality, it consumes you. And once it consumes you, it demands to be fed, constantly, endlessly, desperately. I once wrote that it is better to be feared than loved if one cannot be both. But what I truly meant was this. Fear is rooted in reality, love in illusion. Fear compels obedience because it appeals to survival. Love inspires loyalty only while it satisfies desire. One endures, the other fades. And yet, mankind continues to worship the latter, as if it were divine. They build their lives upon it, then curse fate when it collapses. But if you wish to understand men, truly understand them, study how they love, you will see that their hearts are not governed by reason, but by need. They will betray justice for affection, abandon truth for comfort, and choose illusion over freedom. They would rather be loved for a lie than despised for truth. This is why so few ever rise above the rest. For the masses are chained not by power but by their craving to be cherished. Those who seek to rule must first see love for what it is, not a virtue but a weapon. It can unite nations or destroy them. It can crown a king or bring him to ruin. The one who controls love controls the hearts of men. The one who depends on it loses his own. And so when you hear men speak of love as if it were pure, remember this: the purest things are the easiest to corrupt. Love begins as a whisper in the heart, but it ends as an echo in the mind, reminding you that even the most noble emotions can serve the most cunning purposes. The illusion of love is not that it exists, but that it lasts. And every man, whether prince or peasant, must one day face the truth that what he thought was eternal was only ever. Power is not seized by force alone. It is sustained through perception. And of all perceptions that rule the hearts of men, none is more powerful, more dangerous, or more useful than affection. To the unwise, love is a matter of emotion, but to the prince who understands its true nature, it is a political instrument, a currency that can buy loyalty, disguise ambition, and silence rebellion. Those who lead must learn this. Love is not to be trusted. It is to be directed. A ruler who depends on the affection of his people places his fate in their hands, and nothing is more uncertain than the will of the crowd. They adore today, they despise tomorrow. They kiss the hand they plan to betray. Yet a ruler who appears to be loved, who knows how to weave affection as a cloak around fear, becomes untouchable. The masses crave symbols more than truth. Give them a smile, and they will call it kindness. Give them a word of praise, and they will name it compassion. You need not love them, you need only make them believe you do. The illusion is enough, for the hearts of men are not won by honesty, but by appearance. They would rather be deceived by comfort than enlightened by cruelty. This is why the wise prince does not seek genuine love, but manufactures the image of it, because the image lasts longer than the feeling. In my years among princes, I learned that affection can be designed as carefully as a campaign. When a ruler speaks softly, when he pardons one man and punishes another, when he grants small mercies while withholding greater ones, he is not acting from sentiment. He is sculpting perception. Every gesture, every word, every silence serves a purpose to make the people believe they are loved. And when they believe this, they become predictable. They defend you not because they understand you, but because they cannot bear to see their illusion destroyed. A wise ruler understands that affection is most powerful when it is conditional. If the people believe your love is endless, they will take it for granted. But if they sense that your affection can be lost, they will fight to keep it. The art of ruling through love lies in this balance: to be generous enough to inspire loyalty, but distant enough to command fear. The people must never love you as an equal. They must adore you as a figure just beyond their reach. For love mixed with reverence is far stronger than love alone. Consider this. When a prince is loved without boundaries, he becomes the servant of his people's desires. But when he is loved with restraint, he becomes the object of their admiration. One kind of love demands, the other obeys, and so the ruler must choose not to be loved freely, but to be loved strategically. He must craft affection as a weapon, sharpened by kindness, tempered by control. But do not mistake this for deceit. The ruler who uses affection wisely does not lie. He directs truth to his advantage. When he shows mercy, it is to make cruelty more effective later. When he gives affection, it is to make loyalty more costly to betray. For men remember kindness only when it serves them, but they never forget the affection they fear losing. You may ask, is such calculation not cold? Is it not cruel to turn love into a tool? Yet look around you. Every powerful man, every revered leader, every idolized hero has done the same. The difference is not in what they do, but in whether they admit it. They speak of love as if it were sacred, but their actions are precise, deliberate, and political. They know that the human heart is a battlefield, and affection, when directed properly, conquers without a single drop of blood. Love, in politics, is not a matter of sincerity but of mastery. A ruler must understand its mechanics, how to ignite it, how to contain it, and when to extinguish it. When he rewards, he gives affection meaning. When he withdraws it, he reminds his followers of their dependence. It is this rhythm of giving and taking that keeps men bound. For what they cannot possess completely they will pursue endlessly, and pursuit is the true foundation of power. The people will always claim they desire a loving ruler, but what they truly respect is control. They confuse kindness with strength only until they are faced with chaos. When order is threatened, they turn to the one they once feared, not the one they once loved. This is why affection must never be offered as the foundation of rule. It must be woven into fear like silk through iron, soft to the eye, but unbreakable beneath the surface. Understand this. Love is not destroyed by manipulation. It is defined by it. Every bond, whether between ruler and subject, lover and beloved, parent and child, is a negotiation of power disguised as emotion. To rule others, you must understand how they love and why. You must know which words awaken devotion and which silences inspire dread. You must learn when to embrace and when to withdraw. And above all, you must never let your own heart become hostage to the affection you command. The greatest rulers were not those who were most loved, but those who knew how to use love to rule. They smiled and the people saw warmth. They spoke and the people felt trust. Yet behind that smile was calculation. Behind that trust was strategy. For love, like gold, loses its value when given freely. But when it is rare, when it is earned, when it is uncertain, it becomes the most powerful force in the world. And so, the wise prince learns to love as a sculptor shapes marble, not with blind passion, but with deliberate purpose. Each touch precise, each cut intentional, until what remains is not the chaos of emotion, but the architecture of power. For love, in its pure form, is fragile, but when mastered it becomes the most exquisite form of control a man can wield. There is no force more unpredictable than human affection. It rises like a storm, and vanishes like mist. Those who build their power on being loved are architects of castles made from air. For love, my friend, is not made of stone. It is made of circumstance. It exists only as long as fortune smiles. The moment hardship appears, love begins to fade, revealing the naked truth beneath it. Men are loyal only to what benefits them. When a ruler governs through affection, he imagines himself secure. He looks upon the smiling faces of his people and believes their hearts belong to him. But hearts are the most treacherous subjects. They change allegiance faster than the wind changes direction. One rumor, one tax, one famine, and love turns to resentment. What was once devotion becomes indifference, and what was once praise becomes accusation. The prince who trusted in love now finds himself alone, betrayed by the very warmth that once sustained him. I have seen such men in Florence. They ruled with charm, speaking of justice and generosity, basking in the affection of the masses. They believed that being loved was the same as being safe. Yet when the city trembled, when the gold ran short, and enemies drew near, their beloved people became a mob. They cursed the names they once cheered. The same lips that kissed their hand called for their blood. Such is the nature of love. It endures only in comfort. It vanishes in need. Do not misunderstand me. Love is not evil, but it is fragile. It is like a delicate thread, beautiful, shimmering, but easily torn by fear, envy, or hunger. A ruler who ties his destiny to that thread will one day find it snapping in his hands. Fear, on the other hand, is not so delicate. It does not fade with time or hardship. Men remember fear because it protects them. They forget love because it costs them nothing. This is why I once wrote that it is better to be feared than loved, if one cannot be both. It is not because fear is cruel, but because love is unstable. Fear endures in silence, but love demands to be fed with constant gestures. You must give, flatter, promise, and please, endlessly. It is a hunger that never sleeps. But when famine strikes, when promises cannot be kept, when the prince's smile no longer feeds the people's desires, their love curdles into contempt. They will turn against him not because they are wicked, but because affection has no roots. It grows quickly, dies quicker. The wise ruler therefore treats love as he would treat fortune, a thing to enjoy, but never to trust. Fortune changes, and so does the heart. One day you are adored, the next you are forgotten. The crowd does not remember the years you gave them peace. They remember the one night you failed to protect them. Love cannot forgive disappointment. It is too fragile to endure imperfection. Fear, however, forgives nothing because it forgets nothing, and in that there is security. Even among lovers, this truth is evident. How many have sworn eternal devotion, only to abandon each other when passion fades or opportunity rises? Do you think the hearts of subjects are nobler than those of lovers? They are not. Men love while it serves them and cease when it costs them. Their affection is not loyalty, it is an agreement written in invisible ink, erased by necessity. There is another reason love is fragile. It makes people believe they deserve you. When the people love their ruler too much, they begin to think he owes them everything: protection, comfort, forgiveness. But when fear tempers that love, they remember their place. Love without fear leads to entitlement. Love mixed with fear breeds respect. Respect endures even when affection fades. And in the business of rule, respect is worth more than passion. Men's hearts are fickle, not because they are evil, but because they are human. They chase comfort, not constancy. They admire virtue, but follow advantage. They promise loyalty, but serve themselves. To expect their love to remain pure in times of crisis is to expect the sea to stay calm in a storm. The wise prince understands this and never confuses emotion with stability. I have seen rulers destroyed by love that turned to pity. They grew soft, believing affection could protect them. They forgave too easily, trusted too readily, smiled when they should have struck. Their enemies saw their tenderness not as virtue but as weakness. Love blinds not only the lover, but the loved. The more a ruler believes in the permanence of affection, the more fragile his authority becomes. It is not enough to be loved. One must be feared for the right reasons. Fear without hatred sustains power longer than affection without respect. The people who fear losing your protection will stay loyal even when they no longer adore you. But the people who only love you will abandon you the moment another promises them more. For love is loyal to desire, not to duty. Therefore, affection is not a foundation, but a decoration. It makes power beautiful but not secure. It can inspire loyalty in good times, but in misfortune it dissolves like morning mist. And yet so many princes continue to chase it, as if being loved were proof of virtue. They fail to see that love does not test character, adversity does. When the harvest fails and the treasury empties, when soldiers grow restless and enemies encircle your walls, then you will know whether your people loved you or merely needed you. The truth is cruel, but clear. Love cannot endure where fear and necessity live. It cannot feed the hungry, cannot defend the throne, cannot silence rebellion. It is a fragile luxury that men afford only in peace. And peace itself is fleeting. Therefore, the ruler who depends upon love to sustain him builds his kingdom upon the most unreliable of foundations, the human heart. Man is a creature divided against himself. He seeks power, yet longs for tenderness. He conquers empires, yet fears dying unloved. In all my years watching men, princes, soldiers, merchants, and lovers alike, I found that no matter how high they rose, there was one truth none could escape. Every heart, even the strongest, aches to be loved. And this, my friend, is the most dangerous paradox of all. For love is the one weakness that even the most cunning mind cannot easily master. It creeps into the cracks of power, whispering that domination is not enough, that victory feels hollow without affection. A ruler may bend nations to his will, yet at night when silence returns, he wonders if anyone truly sees him beyond his crown. The general who commands legions still craves the warmth of a single soul. The thinker who shapes the world still yearns for another voice to say, "I understand you." Thus, even as men chase greatness, they remain slaves to the same quiet hunger. I have often said that it is better to be feared than loved. And yet, even I knew the temptation of that softer desire. To be feared is to be respected. To be loved, however, is to be understood. And in that understanding lies a kind of power that cannot be measured in armies or gold. The prince who rules through love does not command obedience. He commands devotion. But this devotion, fragile and feeling, often binds him instead of those who give it. For the more he longs to be loved, the more he becomes dependent upon those who offer it. The greatest test of a ruler, therefore, is not in how he governs others, but in how he governs himself. To rule men, one must first conquer the longing for affection that rules all men. This is the hidden war that every leader must fight. The battle between the need for love and the will for control. Those who lose this battle become captives to their own hearts, and their hearts become the hands of others. I watched princes who sought the love of their people and found ruin. I watched tyrants who despised affection, yet secretly longed for it, and they too were undone. The trick is not to reject love, but to stand above it, to use it when it serves you but never kneel before it, to give affection strategically but never beg for it in return. For the moment you crave it, you place your fate in the hands of those weaker than you. Love is a subtle master. It disguises itself as warmth, but its true nature is dependency. It teaches you to seek validation instead of vision, comfort instead of clarity. Many rulers lose their strength not through defeat, but through affection. They become soft, distracted, eager to please. They begin to mistake approval for authority, and soon, the people no longer follow them out of respect, but out of pity. A ruler who demands love becomes a beggar with a crown. And yet, even as I say this, I know that no man escapes the yearning completely. To deny love entirely is to deny part of what makes us human. But to surrender to it completely is to lose what makes us powerful. The art, therefore, lies in balance, an art few ever master. The wise ruler allows love to touch him, but never to govern him. He accepts affection as one accepts wine, with moderation, savoring its taste but never drinking until reason drowns. In truth, the desire to be loved is not evil. It is elemental. It is the pulse that drives poets to write, soldiers to die, and kings to build monuments in their own image. But the wise see it for what it is, a force that must be tamed, not obeyed. For if love can move nations, it can also destroy them. A ruler must hold it as he would hold fire, close enough to draw warmth, but far enough to avoid being consumed. Even the most ruthless men have hearts that ache in silence. Caesar wept for friendship. Alexander sought admiration, and I have seen the hardest generals soften at the mention of home. This longing does not make them weak. It makes them human. But humanity, when uncontrolled, is a liability in the pursuit of power. To lead men, one must see the world not as it should be, but as it is. And in the world as it is, love is rarely pure. It is born of need, fed by gain, and extinguished by fear. There will come a moment in every life, whether of a ruler or a common man, when he must choose between love and purpose, between being adored and being obeyed. The weak will choose the comfort of affection and call it virtue. The strong will choose command and call it destiny. The rarest few will find a way to walk the narrow path between the two, needing neither, mastering both. These are the men who rise above the crowd, who understand that to rule others is meaningless unless one first rules the storm within. And yet I must confess, even those who master this art are never free from the whisper that asks, what is power if no one loves you? It is the eternal riddle of existence. Power gives control over others. Love offers surrender to another. One demands fear, the other gives peace. To possess both is the dream of gods and the torment of men. For to love and be loved is the highest human desire, and the most perilous one. So remember this: the heart is both crown and chain. The same force that makes you human can make you helpless. The same desire that inspires creation can ensure destruction. And though men may rise above kingdoms, build armies, and write laws, none can fully escape the secret war between the hunger for power and the longing for affection that defines them forever.